embark on a journey that's going to take you from your knowledge of basic math, which for this course more or less we're going to assume that you know how to add, you know how to subtract, you know how to multiply and divide, you've worked with fractions in the past, we're going to review it in this class. You know, you have some idea what a percent is, all the things that have to do with basic math that have no variables or anything like that. We're going to take you from your basic knowledge here at the beginning of this course and pull you up through the you know, the end of Algebra 1 there. So, you know, we're going to expose you to variables and equations and inequalities and all of these things that for a lot of you guys out there, I know terrify you, okay? That's just the way it is sometimes. The title of algebra has this kind of cast to it that kind of makes you worry about it a little bit. Just the name of it sounds a little bit difficult. But let me tell you, if you take it baby steps, one step at a time, and take every little topic and break it down into little tiny understandable chunks, then by the end of the section, you'll find that you do understand it, and more importantly, once you begin to understand it, you'll get some confidence. And that is really the number one thing that holds people back in math. You open up a textbook, you see a bunch of equations, a bunch of letters and exponents and things that don't seem to make any sense because they're nothing to do with what you've learned in your basic math. And so what we're going to do in this class is erase all of that and make it understandable so that you have confidence and so that you'll feel like you can do it, and you can do it. All right, so what we're going to do in this class is start at the beginning. I'm not going to assume you know what an equation is. I'm not going to assume that you know what a variable is. I'm not going to assume you know anything other than what we just talked about. And we're going to go from there. Now here in the beginning of the class, we're going to review some concepts that you typically might see in a pre-algebra course or some other reference that will give you a little primer in pre-algebra, sort of in the beginning here. We're going to review some of those topics just to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind, and then we're going to seamlessly move on into what most people would consider Algebra 1. All right, now before we can get into algebra and all the things that you think about, equations and all that stuff, we need to start somewhere. And so what we're going to do in this section, which is called real numbers and their graphs, what we're going to do is talk about a few definitions. Just like any subject to study, you need to study some definitions and understand them. Once you do that, the terminology becomes easy, and then you can just move on from there. So not too much in the way of real math in this section. There'll be some, but not too much. We're going to mainly learn some terminology. Most importantly, you probably will be tested on this stuff in your whatever class you're taking. So I want to make sure you understand. The first thing we're going to talk about are different types of numbers. We all have an idea of what a number is, obviously, from when you're growing up. But in math, they assign labels to certain types of numbers, and it's just something we do to categorize them. So let's go ahead and go through those. The first type of number that you have experience with all your life is called the natural number. So let me go ahead and write that on the board, and it's written just the way it sounds, natural.
Yeah. Wow.
Number.
No, sir, you already know.